Happy Friday, Slatesters. We are doing our Slate Plus episode a little differently this week. You might have noticed I was out for a few days, touring colleges with my kid, and while I was out, the U.S. government inched so much closer to a full shutdown. And I know we've been here before, but it feels different this time, right? So this week, I called up someone who could tell me a little more about what the folks on Capitol Hill are thinking, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. Senator Van Hollen, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you.
This is a situation where I think I really got to give a timestamp because stuff is changing so rapidly right now in Washington. You and I are talking Thursday afternoon, and without funding, the government is set to shut down Tuesday, September 30th. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I'd like to avoid a shutdown, but Donald Trump seems intent on taking the country over the cliff because what he wants is a blank check to fund his lawless activities. And I, for one, am not willing to give him a blank check. We also want to defuse this ticking time bomb on American healthcare. So I prefer not to see a government shutdown, but Donald Trump seems intent on shutting down the government.
A whole lot of your constituents would be impacted by a government shutdown, huh? Because you represent Maryland?
That's right. I represent lots of patriotic, dedicated federal employees who do good work on behalf of the country. I will point out, if they're not able to do that good work, people all over the country are impacted by the loss of very important services, as we've seen during the time when Elon Musk took a chainsaw to many services and they had to reverse themselves.
Last week, Democrats released these bullet points of a continuing resolution they wanted Republicans to work on with them. It basically funds the government for about a month, focuses on restoring healthcare funding for Americans who rely on it, funding for some public media, preventing funds from being rescinded once they're appropriated. Would achieving all this be worth working with the Trump administration to fund the government here?
Well, there's so many issues that we're dealing with when it comes to the Trump administration and their lawless activity. With respect to this CR, this continuing resolution for a month, there are a couple big issues. One is to rein in their illegal withholding of funds. I mean, right now, a budget's not worth the paper it's written on because they can say they're going to support something and then withhold funds, for example, for NIH or for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, whatever it may be.
Yeah, this is my issue. Like, if you're agreeing on a budget with them, like, what does that mean?
Well, that's right. But you can build in safeguards to prevent that from happening, which has been...
Like what? What would those safeguards be?
So, for example, you can write in provisions that prevent, that increase the bar, make it much, much harder for Republicans to agree to rescind funds, to take away funds after they'd previously supported them as part of a budget.
Because there's some kind of punishment in there?
No, but you can make it a 60-vote threshold. And that would, for example, prevent it from going forward because Democrats then could withhold our votes, as we would. There are things we can do to make sure that the last so-called pocket rescissions, these illegal withholding of funds, is not enacted by spending the money to do that and putting up these guardrails. So there are things you can write in here, but House Republicans and the president want a blank check. They're not willing to do that. And we're not willing to give them a blank check.
That's it for now. And if you want to hear the rest of this episode, the way to do it is to subscribe to Slate Plus. Unlock Slate Plus now by going to slate.com/whatnextplus.